it say? That's right. We got LGBT assholes who only pretend we exist. Only pretend that we exist when they can use it to try to fucking bash on heteros. What the fuck? It's only wrong to harm autistic people if some homosexual can harm some other homosexual about it, right? No. No, they're not targeting homosexuals. This is some trans person pissed off only because they can use it. We'll use a they here. Because theys can use an autistic person in such a horrible way. It's like when you victimize your neighbor and then hide behind your kids. To use your kids in such a horrible way. Let's read this. CPTSD. This is what most of us with autism have. It's a comorbid condition. We'll read that one next. Complex post-traumatic stress disorder, complex PTSD, sometimes abbreviated to C-PTSD or CPTSD, is a condition where you experience some symptoms of PTSD along with some additional symptoms such as difficulty controlling your emotions, feeling very angry or distrustful towards the world. Now here's the thing. Difficulty controlling your emotions, you'd be surprised. You know why there's so many people who believe that people with high-functioning autism don't have emotions? Because we're not allowed to show them or express them. We have to control our emotions all the time. Because if we exhibit the very same emotions you show, you harm us for it. It's okay for you, but not for us. And that's what I've been showing for the last 8 years. It's okay for people to harm me. They're actually allowed to physically assault me. Actually allowed to threaten to kill my friends and family. Over and over again. But I'm just supposed to take it. Because you're fucking pieces of shit. My disability isn't autism. It's your fucking assumptions of autism. And your punishment for being different. You've gotten to see time and time again in the last 8 years how my gender has been used as an excuse by many people who claim to be my friends, as an excuse to look the other way. You want to make it about you and your group, like Elijah McClain. Was he murdered for being black? No, they did the same thing to him they did to me. The same thing that was done to Tibor Hatay. This is done nationwide. You just call your victim mentally ill and you can magically get away with it. You can literally have the hospital fucking lethally inject them. But magically it's okay, isn't it? See, when you try to tell on the police, the first thing they try to do is discredit you. Call you mentally ill, take you to a fucking psych ward, or try to pretend that you're violent and press charges against you for violence when they were fucking violent against you. That's why anyone in the fucking country who is called mentally ill, or just disabled in fucking general, or just homeless, you know that people are just gonna call you mentally ill after they do something fucked up. You know that I am far more prone to being abused over this than a woman. You know that women are far more prone to using that as a tool or a weapon when they don't get what they want right when they fucking want it. And you get to see how many women promise to help me. When you are going to help someone to turn in the crimes being committed against them, it does need to be turned in right away. If you've got time to argue with them for 3 fucking hours, you've got time to turn it in, you piece of shit. And every single one of you showed that you know exactly how to speak up. When the things that you told me, but you never came forward with me to the police about these things. You never once tried coming forward with me to my fucking public pretenders about these things. You never once tried. You never made the effort. Elijah McClain was murdered for being autistic. Tibor Hate was murdered the same way. The police attempted to murder me the same way. You don't want to call it murder or attempted murder? Look at how many times when I went to turn in the police and turn in my predators that I was injected with fucking drugs. Situations where rather than doing their fucking jobs, they chose to intentionally mishandle the situation. That's what we have PTSD from. I can't go to the police as a homeless person because the other homeless people are all up to illegal fucking activities. So what do I end up with when I go to the cops? Being treated like I'm some sort of a fucking junkie out here selling drugs and fucking little kids. The people out on the streets don't want to fucking talk to the cops. The cops don't want to talk to any of the people on the streets. So I end up getting lied to by fucking both of them. Who gets fucking victimized? Me! Do these cops pay the price? No, I do. I pay the price every time. Because I am dependent on people to not fucking lie to me. Not fucking bullshit me. To keep their fucking word because I have no rights. I have no rights because I was born with a penis. I have no rights because I was born poor. I have no rights because you can't tell the difference between Tourette syndrome and somebody strung out on fucking drugs. I have no rights because none of my friends and family are going to fucking speak up about a goddamn thing. They're just going to watch it happen or look the other way and pretend it isn't happening. Why do boys kill themselves at 5 times the rate of girls starting at the age of 15? Oh wait, it's much higher now, isn't it? The suicide rate in this country has tripled in just the last 3 years. It's overtaken just about everything as far as death goes for people between the age of 25 and 35. Over and over and over and over and over. What causes complex PTSD? Complex PTSD can happen if a person experiences repeated trauma over a long time. PTSD is a psychiatric disorder that can develop after a person experiences a traumatic event. I've experienced a fucking shit ton of them, including fucking neglect by literally all of my friends and family. It says complex PTSD, also known as CPTSD, can result if a person experiences prolonged or repeated trauma over months or years. That includes neglect. That includes going to my friends, and they're always too busy to even hear what's happening. I have to set up an appointment a month away to get any of my friends to pretend they're gonna listen, and they don't. They try to make me feel like shit because they don't have time. They don't have time. Well, then why pretend to be my friend ever? If you literally never have time for me, you only have time for parties. says diagnosis. Anyone can develop PTSD at any age. This includes combat veterans and people who have experienced or witnessed a physical or sexual assault, abuse, an accident, a disaster, a terror attack, or other serious events. People who have PTSD may feel stressed or frightened even when they are no longer in danger, and unfortunately, I am still in danger, dumbasses. I'm out on the streets and I'm easy to fucking victimize. I'm easy to blow off. I'm easy to ignore. And all of my resources have been stolen from me. It says here, post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, is a real disorder that develops when a person has experienced or witnessed a scary, shocking, terrifying, or dangerous event. These stressful or traumatic events usually involve a situation where somebody's life has been threatened or severe injury has occurred. But nobody cares because I'm a guy. Hundreds of people typing at me the same exact things, the exact things that push men to commit suicide. Literally. The things that you're taught not to say as police officers, as mental health workers, and yet you say these things knowing that they're going to push the person to commit suicide. How fucking wrong is that? Here's one. Is complex PTSD a disability? Yes, the SSA considers PTSD a disability when it makes it impossible for you to hold a job and interferes with your ability to take care of yourself. I can't take care of myself because of PTSD. Not autism, but abuse and neglect. The symptoms of CPTSD can be life-altering and cause severe disabilities, such as many different forms of mental health disorders. It says, although many believe that the ADA is only for those with visible disabilities, they are wrong. The ADA also covers those with disabilities that are not easily noticed or seen by the public. People with a heart condition or a mental health problem such as complex post-traumatic stress disorder are also covered. But I'm ignored. I've called those places. They take advantage of the fact that I can't take care of myself. See, that's the thing about so many people out here with complex post-traumatic stress disorder. So many people out here who are called mentally ill. Their mental illness after being raped and beaten so many times out here is PTSD. And you make excuses for our predators. Just like many generals made excuses for their soldiers in World War II and Vietnam. What about their victims? And the same thing here in the United States. If you turn a blind eye and pretend it's not happening, does that mean it's not happening? No, it doesn't. I'm out here living the reality of this situation. I'm out here being treated like I'm a drug addict by half of the population. And I'm treated like I must be a narc because I'm not a drug addict by the other half. I'm sent to services that won't help you unless you're on drugs. But then, of course, if you're on drugs, they won't help you either because you're on drugs. Then I don't do any drugs. So what do I have to deal with? Getting sent around in circles because all these places want to make just that little bit extra money they get if they write down that you're on heroin or meth or any other drug on their approved list. Unfortunately, marijuana's not on that list. It's about the only thing that I'm ever willing to actually try. I won't try alcohol. I've never tried heroin. I've never tried cocaine ever a day in my life. That was my parents' drug of choice. And I learned from those around me when they fucked up big. I learned that maybe I shouldn't do that stupid stuff. But it doesn't matter, does it? What matters is that I'm not good looking. I'm not tall. I'm not muscle bound. I'm not able to take care of myself, let alone defend myself. I am easy to take advantage of. And therefore it makes it okay, doesn't it? I could literally get beaten up by a 5-year-old girl. That is not a joke. Yeah, I used to be a lot stronger. And yes, I have a high pain threshold. Yes, autism allows me that little bit. But that doesn't mean that I don't feel pain. For a lot of us with high-functioning autism, there's a correlation between high intelligence and being bullied. A lot of people are intimidated by intelligence. They're jealous of people who are intelligent. And they do show it with their actions and with their bullying. Because see, to a stupid person, an intelligent person sounds like a crazy person. But then we've got most of the population is so hopped up on caffeine and commercials about sex, they don't know up from down, left from right. They never complete a full thought. Constantly busy every day, right? You got to jump through all these appointments for your kids. You got to go to work every day. You got to make sure you don't get injured, and you got to pay your insurance in case you do get injured. You get it shoved down your throat every day that black people need your help. Black people need your help. But then you don't take a look at which black people in specific need your help. Specifically black men. Specifically homeless black men. Because very specifically those homeless black men, just like any other group of homeless men, are prone to being called mentally ill and ignored by law enforcement, by the hospitals, by anywhere that they go. Your idea of treating someone when someone is being harmed as a male, especially a homeless male, your idea of treating them like a person should be to take their statement just like you would anyone else, not to, quote unquote, treat them for mental illness. When somebody with PTSD is coming to you because they were just raped, and you send them to the hospital to be treated for mental illness, you are a sick fuck. And that's what it's really like out here on the streets. And unfortunately for all of us men out here, there are 15 services for women for every one co-ed service. Unfortunately for us men, a lot of these women, in order to access these services, have to pretend that a man is hurting them. Have to pretend that a man is hurting them on the streets. Many of the women that I know had to make up men that don't exist. Because when they were abused by the Boulder Police Department, when they'd try to turn in the officer who was abusing them, they'd get blown off the same as I do. But you also get to see how many of these homeless people don't have the foresight to record it when they go in. They're naive. They believe that these places are supposed to help them. Like you see advertised all the time. But then you go to these services as a man, oh my God. You get treated like you're some sort of a crook for even going in there. How dare a man go in there? These are women's services. Even though by law they're supposed to help men. Because men are far less likely to make false charges. Did you know that? Men are literally prevented from making a police report. Police will tell a woman, walk her through the entire process, even take her to the places that she needs to go. But for a guy, it's just running them around in circles, especially if he's homeless. And they do the same thing to women out here. We've gotten to hear from at least 7 women who went to Tides of Change. 5 of them homeless, 2 of them not. The 2 women who are not homeless got lots of help from Tides of Change, got lots of help from CARE, got lots of help from TFCC. Got help paying their rent, got help paying their gas bills, got help paying their household bills. Got help with turning in the crimes committed against them to the police. We're allowed an interview room to actually sit down in that room and write it down. But the girls out here on the streets, what do they get treated like? Like they must be druggies and they deserve it. With the girls having so little chance, what chance do the boys have? The national average for homeless men versus homeless women, 85% nationally. 85% of us are men. Let's go with just the police statistics. 96% of those killed by police are men. 96%. 61% of those killed by police last year. 61% of them were homeless. That's up from 49% in 2019. That's quite an increase in just 4 years. It's horrible. Now, why do boys commit suicide at 5 times the rate of girls starting at the age of 15? You just need to man up. You just need to take care of it yourself. Boys don't cry. But meanwhile, those of us who are autistic, we've grown up with that our entire lives. We have to be the person who sits in the corner and keeps our mouth shut, or we're going to get punished for speaking. We can't show emotions, or we'll get punished for showing emotions. When you yell at us, we have to shut up and just take it. How dare we ever stand up to you? How dare we ever yell back at you? How dare we ever treat you the way that you treat us? We're horrible monsters if we do. I've protected women my entire life. I've never been the guy that women were in love with. I've never been the guy that women throw themselves at. Ever. I never ever helped a woman out because she pretended like she was going to touch my parts. And I have had many a woman, after getting her out of a messed up relationship and helping her move, thought that I was expected to have some sort of intimate relationship with her. Even if only for a night. Like, no, I don't need some sort of payment. You're telling me that you and your kids are unsafe. This is what us men are taught to do since birth. You tell us you're unsafe, we find a solution. Or you have a solution, you need manual labor, we show up to be manual labor. But once I was too injured to be that manual labor, how did people treat me? Meanwhile, those of us with high-functioning autism, we find ourselves more and more fighting for the rights of low-functioning autistic people because their parents don't see what they're doing to these children as abuse. All your child is doing is stimming. It doesn't hurt anyone. When you grab your child or you slam your child down because you don't like how they're moving their arms, you are being a horrible parent. That is highly abusive. How would you like that? And the police do the same thing, but they got access to people who will drug us. Drugs whose side effects include making a person depressed enough to kill themselves. They include making a person delusional and even having hallucinations. Why the hell would you inject somebody with drugs that will induce schizophrenia-like symptoms? Why would you do that to a person? Haldol, Ativan, and Benadryl? That's horrible enough as is. You want to put ketamine into people's system when they're having a mental breakdown from fucking abuse? And that includes neglect by law enforcement. You get to see how even women out here who are quote-unquote mentally ill, the police and all of these hospital services and mental health workers will look the other way. Legally, they're not allowed. We got to hear the Department of Health and Human Services people here say that they work mostly with children and the elderly. They're not used to the quote-unquote mentally ill. Well, with all due respect, over 95% of the people that they're working with have been diagnosed with a quote-unquote mental illness. So yes, every single one of the people they have to work with in the average day is going to be mentally ill. The 5 out of 100 that are not, how much do they really need those services? They need them. That's why they're going there, because they do need those services. You also get to hear from over 100 different people. Over 100 different poor people on my channel have spoken up about not having the money to take care of themselves. If something goes wrong, there's no nest egg. And then those of you who are poor, take it out on us on the streets too. If you don't get what you want, but you don't want to get in trouble or you don't want to lose face, you don't want your reputation as a person to be diminished. But that's what diminishes you as a person. It's your willingness to look away from rape, from murder, from human trafficking. As long as it's not happening to you, it's fine, isn't it? As long as it's just the nightly news to you. To me, Waylon Lolotai was not the nightly news. He was a man who assaulted me for trying to turn in sexual predators, for trying to turn in information that I was asked by police officers in Natalie Bollinger's case to give them. But all of the people that I went to for help were threatened, harassed, or intimidated by the police or by people on the internet. Nobody wanted to listen to me about Waylon Lolotai. Nobody would even give me his name. Meanwhile, the body cameras of how horrible I was treated would have been so easy for one person to actually give a shit and to help me to turn it in. That money that was sent to help me out was never sent to me. The hell that I've gone through for the last 7 years because nobody cares about me as a human being. To you, I have a penis. So I must be an evil transphobe or homophobe who's out to hate everybody with a rainbow flag, out to destroy every woman out there, out to rape everyone. You make it out like 99% of men are rapists. No, less than 1% of men are rapists. Less than 1%. Women are far more likely to sexually abuse a child. Did you know that? Women are 5 times more likely to beat a child. Did you know that? But you literally ignore everything that doesn't fit a woman's narrative. How about we show the truth? How about we don't shut down everything that women find offensive? A woman finds it offensive that a male who has been victimized by her should be allowed to defend himself? Are you fucking kidding me? You take away our rights as men wholesale. If I, as a disabled and homeless male, have to turn in a female predator who lives in the house, especially if she's young and pretty, it doesn't matter what she did, she's young and pretty. She's a female, she matters more than I do. And we're all taught this bias. Men are taught from birth that our job is to protect women and children. Women are taught that it's their job to protect themselves and their kids. So when it comes down to it, who is it that's supposed to make the most sacrifice? Men. We're supposed to lay down our entire lives for you. And take the abuse when you fuck up to boot. You get to see how the black community will not acknowledge that people were murdered for being autistic, for being different. They don't acknowledge that injecting us with those drugs, what it actually does to us. BLM only cares that Elijah McClain was black. But who cares about Tibor Hatay? BLM didn't care about the other victims of Wayland Lolotai. BLM only cared about Zaid Atkinson and Samuel Leon Lawrence IV, the two minorities in houses. That's right, the two privileged enough to be going to college and have housing. Those are the ones that BLM gave a shit about. Nobody gave a shit about Michelle Rodriguez but me. Because I was railroaded. Because I didn't have any actual friends. And because people who were supposed to be my friend, people like Darren O'Connor, wanted to talk people out of helping me. People who claimed that they would help. People who pumped me for information. I helped Darren O'Connor to get in contact with nearly every victim. And then each of these victims in turn wanted to tell me I should go to Darren O'Connor. No, Darren O'Connor was busy ignoring me. He got what he wanted and then he threw me away like I was trash. See, when a male is being abused, you just talk over him. You just let people hurt him. You let them put that mentally ill tag on him, and from then on in, for the rest of his life, he will be victimized easily by nearly anybody he comes encounter with. If I was a drug addict, I'd have more protection out here from the police and from the public. All the drugs out here are coming from people who live in houses. Yet you want to peg it as a homeless problem. No, you throw your addicts out here with the rest of us. Those of us who are out here because we were victimized into it, and then the police victimize us. As if we're the drug addicts, child molesters, and rapists that you cast out of your own houses. Instead of hating the homeless because you cast sexual predators out onto the streets with us, why don't you turn in those fucking sexual predators? Instead of giving them a pool of victims they can do anything they want to at any point in time, you pieces of shit. Instead of turning in sick Uncle Rick, you just cast him out of the family, but you also cast out his victim for speaking up, don't you? The LGBT community only cares about us when they can try to use it for sympathy for their cause. But they're not fighting for us, are they? No, they're not. BLM does the same thing. Me Too does the same thing. These statistics only exist, apparently, when it comes to women. When it comes to men, it's fucking crickets. You don't want to fucking hear it. We need to shut up and go to the back of the goddamn bus. Well, fuck you.